Hello, friends. Did I use my time while waiting through the to be live soon to actually get my yarn here? No. That would have been making sense. I have a box of rologs here that we made over the past couple of days. And we are going to spin them. What I don't know is how much they weigh. So actually, we're gonna do all parts of this terrible process that I didn't prep in advance before, going live. So here's the deal. I took this yarn. It is Polworth yak and silk, and I I blended in more silk, which is great, but it was, I think, 4 ounces, and I blended in, this is math that we should be able to do easily, right? We had a 4-ounce chunk of fiber, and we added in about 1/2 ounce of silk, because I split that silk in half. So it should be 4.5 ounces, which means that in half, right? Because we need 2 singles. This is my terrible scale from Weight Watchers. But whatever, it's food scale. So this should be like 2.25 ounces. So let's go. This is right now empty. We are going to stack these until we get to 2.25 ounces, and then we're going to weigh the rest to make sure that this actually adds up. 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, 2.2. Okay, so this is 2.2 ounces of this fiber, which is, existing here for me to spin. Okay, we're back to 0. Do not unroll, please and thank you. It's like, but I want to unroll. Screw you. Okay, 0.3, 0.7, 1.0, 1.2, 1.4, 1.8, 2.0. This is not going to be an even split. 2.5. Okay, 2.7. So we had 2.2 and 2.7, which together means that it is 4.9. 4.9 divided by half is 2. Math is hard. Like 2.45, right? So let's... This is now 2.4. And watch this space. I'm still gonna end up with an uneven amount on the bobbins, but we're gonna do our damnedest to try to make it as even as possible. Two point zero, 2.2, 2.6. So a 2.4 and 2.6. We're gonna call that good and put the other half back in the box carefully. And, you know, spin half. Because I don't want to, like, the other option, of course, is to spin the whole thing and then, like, chain ply it or something. Or weigh the finished bobbin and split the bobbins in half at the end. But it's much easier to weigh... Okay, Tiny Death, why did you fall down? No falling down, Death. I gotta, like, weigh its butt or something so that it stays. It's much easier to weigh the rologs, just because they are smaller and lighter and, like, more modular. So I can do what I just did, which is, scale. Turn off, please. Thank you. So yeah, they're more modular, so I can like mess around with them and stuff. Okay, why does nothing reload automatically in the world? Reload automatically, please, thank you. Okay, and over here, are we reloading automatically? Yes. Okay, good the heck enough. Okay, now we gotta find... Alright, first of all, I'm gonna switch that from ply to spin. Which means we gotta Okay, come on. This is like the worst leader ever over here, but that's okay. Go in there. Go in there so that I don't in fact actually have 500 million yards of leader. At some point I will need to fix that. That point is not right now. Previous yarn floof. Okay, we're just gonna start with this guy. Because I said so, I don't know. Oh god, too much speed. So much speed. Go in there and sort yourself out until I can get a rhythm going. So I added the extra silk into this just because I wanted it to be a little bit more silky, and also just because I could. Mostly because I picked up this green as well as like a wine red color, and this little batch of silk came basically in a mixture of green and this like nice wine purple. So I split it up and I mixed the green into this, but I put the purple aside, so when I blend the wine color, right? It's like a burgundy mulberry wine. I don't even know. And so I will put the purple into it. So that should be pretty cool. What are we doing over there? Like, are we splitting around the bobbin? Looks like we are. So one of the reasons to do this, in addition to wanting the silk on there, is that the fiber itself came in this like very, like, it wasn't felted, but it was like a little bit, knocked about bad. So mostly that just means that I wanted to pre-draft it anyway, and this is as good a way as any to really do the equivalent of a pre-draft, is to turn it into these nice rologs. So here we are. That I really need to take some of that brown leader off of the bobbin because it just adds so much bulk in that one spot that I'm not sure how much I really actually like want that there, or rather, like, I know I don't want it there, but yeah. Also, of course, the other thing I failed to do while I was, on the starting soon screen, which is usually it's like the time to do all my prep, but I didn't do it. So I didn't run an ad, which means that I think we have pre-rolls right now, and that's pretty terrible. But we do have an ad scheduled in 15 minutes, so it runs a 3-minute ad every hour, but it starts half an hour in. So, because I don't want, like, the first thing people to see is an ad. I don't really know how that interacts with the pre-rolls, but that's, like, okay. So, alright. Do not split. Do not split. Thank you. This is gonna be slightly lumpy, but not like really for real lumpy, just tiny bit lumpy. Just because it is a slightly felted fiber, and I mean, silk just sort of does that as well. So, and as you can see, I don't need to stop my wheel to adjust the position of where it's winding on. That's because I have a level winder on my system, which does make things a lot easier and faster. I think I had this wheel for certainly less than a week before I just caved and picked up the level winder, because otherwise what I had to do was set up like an app on my phone with a timer, and the timer would, like, every, I don't know, 5 minutes or something, would like ding at me to go like, oh yeah, I should stop and move my hooks and see what it's doing. And I don't I don't enjoy that. There's too much interruption, too much thinking about it. Like, this is supposed to be kind of quiet and meditative and not have a ding go off all the time. And I absolutely do not have the capacity to remember to stop, like at regular intervals without the ding. Because, like, what would happen is I would eventually glance at my bobbin and see that it was creating a giant blob and go like, oh yeah, I need to move. Because I learned to spin on a normal wheel with the hooks, but I really done any reasonable spinning previously on my Kiwi, which has a woolly winder attachment. Which is a system kind of like the level winder, just it doesn't need a battery. It's got gears. The benefit is that it never needs a battery, but the detriment is that you have to use their bobbins as well as their flyer. And the bobbins are like $80 each. They're gorgeous. They're like walnut wood and stuff. But I greatly enjoy the fact that there are 3D printed bobbins for the eel, and that I don't really need to think about anything. Like, I don't need to think about them being special. They just work out of the thing. They don't need any gears. It does mean that I need to have double A's, triple A's, when I go anywhere with the wheel, right? Or I'm at home with it. Obviously, I should also have the batteries at home. I'm going away this weekend. I haven't decided yet. If I'm bringing her. I don't know how much free time to expect at the retreat I'm going to. Like, it's a Jewish women's retreat, but it's basically like arts and crafts summer camp for adults. So, and it's going to be going on from Sunday through Wednesday. I leave on Saturday and I'm back Thursday. So almost certainly no streams, because I don't know whether I have any ability to stream from middle of nowhere, Georgia. Although if the arts and crafts are really cool, I might see if I can do either an IRL or like just record a video to have for little clips and stuff. Depends. I'm going to be doing some printmaking, which I'm pretty excited about, which I've done very, very little of. We'll see. So, I forget if we've spun out of rologs before on stream, or just out of kind of nude fiber, but rologs kind of make it easier. The previous time that I've done this was when I had a fiber that was just very muddy, full of colors, and I wanted to split the colors up. So that's another time that a blending board is really useful, is if you have like a variegated and you want to split it up, like just so that you have kind of like longer chunks of various colors, and you don't think that just spinning from the fold is gonna do ya. You can basically just split up your bits. So I had a bunch of fiber that was like rainbow colors, but in some sort of whatever order. So I wanted to have an actual rainbow, like gradient going down the fiber in repeats, which I did do. I don't think I ever knit anything with it yet, but I gotta make something out of that. But I just laid out the strips of fiber in the correct rainbow order, and then I had rologs just of the fiber in that order. So I would spin a rolog and then spin, like, because it was basically three. It was a six color repeat, and it had like 3 colors per rolog. So I just paired the rologs up and knew that I had to spin like color combo A followed by B, then A again, then B again, etc. So that worked really well, and that did get chain plied. So today we don't have a huge amount of time to spin because it is 1:15, and we have to end by 3 because I have to go run errands, to go to the pharmacy, and then I have to go to a place called Town Fair Tire, which I recently learned is regional and doesn't exist in other parts of the country, but they're a pretty good place to go and get like new tires put on because they have some really good warranties. And my housemate, who is not home currently, he's visiting friends, but his car needs new tires, and so I'm gonna go take his car in and acquire some tires for him, and obviously he'll pay me back, and get that dealt with. And yeah, and then when I'm back, I need to pack because it's Friday, and tomorrow we are in fact leaving on our trip, and we are leaving at like noon, which means that I'm going to have just barely enough time to go to the library. I gotta pick up some books that are waiting for me, but library is not open on Fridays, so I can't pick them up today, but the library is open at 11 and we're leaving at noon, so I'm gonna quickly dash out there to grab my books and dash home, just to be in time. And we're leaving at noon because we want to get to the airport by like 1 for our 5 o'clock flight, which is not international, so you might wonder why the heck we're going to be there that early. But my traveling companion is traveling with some new equipment, and we're not sure how much fuss and trouble the airline is going to give us for getting that equipment on the plane. So we just want to be there sufficiently early to have time to deal with problems as they come up. And so that was 1 rolog down, more to go. And the rologs are all, of course, different size, which is why we did not just count the rologs and split things in half that way. That's why we did it by weight. So, I mean, there's still going to be variance, and you might ask yourself, or me, I guess, why is there variance, Anna? Well, there's variance because I'm not the world's most consistent spinner. So sometimes the singles are a little skinnier than other times, and obviously that uses a different amount of fiber, so we get a different length out of the same weight of fiber sometimes. It shouldn't be too bad because I've gotten mostly consistent, but we'll see. And also, so I expect something like 400 maybe, yards out of this 4-ounce green. We'll see. We'll see if I actually get 400, but it was like fairly inexpensive, which is nice. There's a project I really want to do, but it calls for like 1,800 yards of one color and 1,200 yards of another color. And so if I get 400 yards out of 4 ounces, that goes into 1,800 yards 4.5 times, right? So that means that I need 18 ounces of fiber for that, and 12 ounces for the other color. So considering 4 ounces cost some amount of dollars, $30. So getting basically not 4.5, since you can't get 4.5, 5 units of that is going to be $150, and the 12 is $90. So that's, so you know, that would make it a $240 sweater. Oh yeah, plus the silk. The silk was $12 for the ounce, so we would want, so it's 5 plus 3, 8, so we would want 8 things of silk, which is another $96. So when people say, oh, why don't you sell your yarn, or even worse, your sweaters? So who would want to pay $340 for yarn for one sweater? Like, not me. I can't afford that, and neither can most humans. And then if I knit the sweater, that's many hours of work, so plus work, so yeah. Alright, we're about to go into an ad break, and I will put the BRB screen on for that, so that I can very quickly run downstairs and get a beverage, and I will see you after the capitalism. Here is my BRB. Hello, folks. Um, so I went downstairs, got myself a Fresca, and I got myself a snack, which I figure this is pretty good. If I grab some of snack in every commercial break. Wow, commercial break. I feel like I am a TV studio. Like in every ad capitalism break, I will successfully consume a lunch in the course of the time. But we will see how that actually works out. So okay, soundtrack, what are you doing? I guess that's Sound of Autumn or something, according to Chill Beats. It works to some extent. Alright. One of the things that was a little weird about this fiber is that mixed in with the green, and to some extent with the burgundy as well, although it's still not bad, is a bunch of gray, and mixed, like the silk is very clearly painted on white, and there's just like chunks of white silk in there, which is fine, but it means that it's gonna be shot through this fiber. Let's see. What else is going on? Well, you know, the country is kind of on fire, at least from my perspective. Most of us are terrified of what's going to happen, so there's been a lot of emotional upheaval and stuff happening for a lot of folks I know. So on Wednesday, my BFF RGB and I went to Michael's and picked up some emergency emotional support crochet kits, a unicorn for her and a rocket for me, and started working on those just for like a couple hours on Wednesday, and then a little bit yesterday, and getting through that. We do have our next like group crochet thing, her and me, which is hilarious because like that little death with my third ever crochet thing, so like it's not like I know what I'm doing. The rocket is my fourth crochet project, but we picked up from Crochetta, which are kits that I like a lot more than the Loops and Threads brand that Michael sells. We picked up 2 identical little dragons, so we're gonna do them on our trip, like probably on the flight, and in the however many extra hours of airport time we're gonna have. Also, the other thing I need to do today, like as part of packing, as part of prep for packing, I guess technically, is I need to get my previously finished and blocked and whatever dried yarn and measure how much of it I have. So I have to set up the umbrella swift and the yarn winder and the yarn counter, and you know, get that happening. So that's a task, because then I will know how much of it I have. Once I know how much of it I have, I can figure out a project for it, because I don't think I want to bring the spinning with me to Georgia, because again, I don't know how much time I'm gonna have and how distracting it might be to have the wheel there and stuff. Like, as much as it's cool and I like showing it off. But I don't know how much I want to necessarily do that, and I don't currently have, like, I mean, I hate saying I don't currently have a knitting project going, because of course I do, I have several, but I don't have any that I'm actually actively working on right now. Like, I don't want to bring the wingspan, because I have not picked it up in a year, which means that I would have to, like, remember what the ever-loving fuck I was doing, and etc. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I'm currently in the process of, like, figuring out is I need to find a place to take like an intensive Hebrew course, and I found a couple of online ulpans, but not like any that I necessarily am like, oh yes, this is the correct one, and also they all cost money, which is fine, but I don't have any because I'm kind of unemployed, so I gotta figure out what is going on with that. I'm kind of hopeful that maybe the folks at the retreat, just again a little bit less spin, folks at the retreat, somebody might have some info to share about, like, a good class to find, because I just want an online Ulpan, and like, in conversational modern Hebrew, right? Like, I don't need biblical, I don't need liturgical, I just need, like, as a foreign language kind of deal. So I have absolutely no ability to learn it on my own from a book or from YouTube, and Duolingo is basically useless. So, I mean, like, it's not useless, but it's not useful for this particular task. So, we will see. And, like, I'm not good at things like Rosetta Stone and whatever. I'm just not. I need a teacher with a class, like, and an agenda and a schedule and homework and practice time, and I can't. I need the structure of a class, but oh, I should see if I can take classes for cheap at my university, because, and whether they have online versions of the classes, because I am an alumna there, and I did pay them a lot of money to get my degree, so I don't know if they have, like, come attend classes for cheap option or something. And I haven't thought to look into that, but that was the last time I took Hebrew as a foreign language, was at university, so obviously they're not going to have the same professor or anything. It's been some quantity of years, let's say, like a non-insignificant quantity of years, but I know they offer the classes, obviously, so. But it's just one more thing that I need to follow up on, and haven't managed to do so yet. almost done with vlog number 2. How many do we have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 more. So there's a total of 10 rologs. Just out of curiosity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, and there's 9 in the box. So, you know, theoretically could have been split that way, but I know we have like a reasonable balance of like little rologs and big fat rologs, and again, just by weight was a much better idea of a way to split it. So you know, having a food scale or like a postage scale is generally like fairly important for my crafting life, so I'm glad I have that terrible scale that reminds me of a time when I like was desperately trying to control my weight or whatever, watch my weight with Weight Watchers. I don't know, it's like surely way more than a decade old, probably a decade and a half to almost 2. So it is ancient, but whatever. Has a battery in it and it works for this purpose. And I don't particularly care that it is branded as a Weight Watchers scale. I know other people would care and kind of like would get a lot of trauma and upset from seeing it, but not me. Mostly because I don't consider my weight loss attempts to be like traumatic, more stupid. And they, you know, they worked. Like, to be fair, Weight Watchers is one of the few things that consistently worked. It's like, if you're doing this program, it works. If you're not doing it, then why are you wasting the money? But mostly because it wasn't ever a diet, right? Like, that's the problem, is when it becomes a diet. And Weight Watchers, like, bless their heart, at least in that iteration of the program, were very much like, here is how to quantify your food such that you can like count it while still having reasonable nutrition, and please don't do stupid things like not eat food. But the thing that really bugged me about them is that they would advise people to like, well, since you're gonna, you know, you want to eat like cake, eat fat-free cake, or you're gonna eat sour cream, eat fat-free sour cream. And I'm just like, do you know how sour cream is made? It's made from a milk fat. So if your sour cream is fat-free, that means it's just chemicals. And like, I'd rather eat less of the real sour cream than more of the chemical sour cream. And that was not a feature of everybody in the program. I hate fake food. Like, don't get me wrong, I like some fake food. Like, I love whipped cream from a can. Like, I know that it's not the same as real whipped cream. I like Cheese Whiz sometimes, and I am quite certain that it is not cheese, and I am not... Oh, stop. It's like nodded itself over here. Like, I know that it's fake cheese. I understand this, and I am unsurprised by this, and I am like perfectly fine with it. But like, I'm making a choice to have that instead of the real thing because, you know, there's something about the fake thing that I enjoy. Also, while we're speaking about food things that bug me, you know what bugs me is when people talk about American cheese and call it fake cheese. And it's like, this is not fake cheese. It is amalgamated out of many cheeses and gone through a process that lets it be easily in this little smooth single and have a very long shelf life. But it's made from cheese. Like, it's sort of like saying that, I don't know, salami is not real, made from, not like real meat. Like it was, and then we did things to it, and now it's salami, not like a chunk of meat. So American cheese is not a hunk of cheese, but it is made from it just fine. It's not even like chemically altered. Plus, if you don't have like powdered sodium citrate in your house, American cheese like Kraft singles or whatever are what you add to your mac and cheese mix so that you have an emulsifying agent and your like mac and cheese sauce doesn't split. And you know, like people don't think of that necessarily. And I used to do that all the time, and then I just bought some sodium citrate. Because it doesn't add any like taste to the thing or flavor or anything. It's like a tiny bit citrusy, but like at the quantities you're adding, not in any way noticeable in the mac and cheese, but it has done wonders for my mac and cheese, right? Like it is silky, it never splits, it's amazing. And credit where it's due, I learned that from Adam Ragusia on YouTube. He's mostly stopped doing food videos and has been exploring kind of his music and stuff, but still does some food things. And his channel is great. I love it. I've gotten certainly a bunch of really nice recipes from there, but also just like learned a bunch about how the food works. And he has a good episode on truffles and how they are located in the wild, and the difference between the white truffle and the black truffle, and the like truffle you can get more easily in America and that kind of stuff. He also has a really interesting episode on Wagyu beef and why you, in fact, as a human, shouldn't eat a lot of it. Like some in you know, steak-sized amounts is fine, but like you shouldn't have 2 steaks of it because it will eat your liver. Like it is just too much fat of the kind of fat that like it's just bad for your body. It's delicious, but it's kind of bad for your body. So that was a fun episode too. So I did enjoy it. And of course, a lot of my recent YouTube watching has been focused on watching the entire back catalog of the Sorted show, like the Brit guys. Really like their stuff. And also, of course, Max Miller. If you are not watching YouTube from Max Miller, Tasting History, I don't even know you. Now, of course, I'm going to be sad about Mrs. Lansingham, but oh well. But yeah, you should be watching Tasting History with Max Miller. It's some good stuff. Some good stuff. He recently did an episode not only on like here's a meal from the Titanic, but he did an episode on the soup that was served on the Carpathia. And because I don't see the Carpathia like really featured in much of anything or mentioned very much, and her story is too fucking amazing to not mention, guys. Carpathia is the only ship that came when Titanic called. She was well over 4 hours away. She made it there in 3. She had a top speed of, I want to say, 14 knots. She traveled at 17. She traveled at night in the dark through an ice field, to the point where her captain said when the light broke and he looked out and he saw the ice that they were going through and have gone through, he said, being, 1912 here, that he realized in that moment that his were not the only hands on the wheel. Like, it was a fucking miracle. Also, I'm making myself cry. I'm sorry. But, the Carpathia's story is amazing. She did everything she could. And she failed. She didn't get there in time. She got there well after the ship sank. But she picked up 700 people in lifeboats, and we know that some of the lifeboats, there were people that died right, like, as they were lifted onto the Carpathia. So we know that every minute counted for those people. So she failed, but she tried. She was the only one that tried. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to get, like, all deep and mopey there, but sometime look it up. Look up the story of the Carpathia. And her captain. It is pretty phenomenal. Oh my god. Like, seriously. Let's think of something lighter and fluffier to talk about, right? All that's coming to my mind is like, yes, I'm dealing with buying new tires later today. Which nobody wants to hear about, because, like, oh my god, who wants to hear about tires, really? Sorry, guys. Oh my god. Like, can't see my spinning here. I know I'm a dork. I know. This is not a surprise to anyone, certainly not me. This rolog is actually probably too big. Like, I made it too fat. Which mostly just means it's a little bit hard to work with. Like, it's not terrible. It's certainly no harder than working from just like a roving. But not as easy as the previous two, right? We finished 2. This is the 3rd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. We did 2. This is our 3rd rolog. Let's see how many we'll do in the time we have, right? So, like, we've been going for about an hour. And we have at least another, like, hour-ish in us. So let's see if we can finish this one and, like, another rolog. Although this is, like I said, this is a big hefty one, so it sort of might be the equivalent of 2 on its own. And I do, like, I think the little felted nature of this is honestly, it's probably the yak. Or maybe it's the Polwarth, I don't know. Like, this is only my 2nd time ever spinning Polwarth. And part of why I wanted to add this extra silken, because it's not as, like, deliciously squishy as the Merino. But it's nice. I don't know very much about where it comes from. I'm assuming it comes from, like, the Polwarth sheep, because it is a sheep wool. You know, that was the other question that I don't think I know the answer to. Like, there are words that imply origin, right? Like when somebody says lard, the implication is that it's pig fat. I know that there is vegan lard, and I have no idea what it's made of, but it's not like the normal thing you think of. It needs that qualifier, right? And when people say suet, it means beef fat. And when people say vellum, we know it's like, generally speaking, like lamb or calf skins tanned. Um, but and when people say and when people say silk, right, we mean the spider stuff. Hello, how are you? Um, they don't like mean corn silk by default. You'd have to specify that it was corn silk. So when people say wool, my kind of assumption is that they mean sheep, and everything else gets a modifier, right? Camel wool, yak wool. But like plain unadorned wool is from sheep, is the theory. But I don't actually know if that's true. I'm good. Just getting some spinning done. I made these rologs the past couple of days. We were blending extra silk into them, basically, into the Yak Polworth silk blend. So now spinning them up, trying to stay consistent and even, and not distract myself with like stories of the rescue of the Titanic passengers, which is what I was just accidentally doing. I mean, not like accidentally, but I forgot that it makes me cry every time. Oh, but yeah, so when it says Polworth wool, like, I assume it's a sheep. You've been doing a lot of spinning with merino camel silk blends, and those are amazing, but slightly costly. So when they come in the monthly kit, I of course spin them, but don't go out of the way to get them separately. Oh, but that reminds me, for folks who are spinners, the Paradise Fiber Club seems to be back. You can order it, well, you can pre-order it again. The first shipment is going to be for January, first club shipment. But by the time my friend recommended it to me, they had closed it down due to the fire on their loading docks. And looks like they have recovered enough to be able to start it again. So that's pretty exciting. I'm certainly excited, and I signed up for it. So now I'm going to be in two fiber clubs. One is the Paradise Fiber one, but the other is the Greenwood Fiber, which folks who have seen me spin would have seen me spin previously, because it's what I mostly spin is stuff for that club, and that's what I need to measure later today, because I finished the September stuff and need to kind of measure it and use it up, and then this kind of inserted itself into the process because I picked it up at the Fiber Festival in early November, but I do have the October box from Greenwood, so that's going to be stuff for us to spin once we're done with this. I am getting some yarn onto getting some color onto my hands, but I don't think it's from the green. I think it's actually from the silk, which is mildly funny, but like, not like bad funny, but mildly funny. Just means it's going to be fairly terrible when I do the purple, because that's probably going to stain my hands a lot more than this. But such is life. Alright, how we're doing over there? Seem to be doing okay. It is going on nice and even, and we have a reasonably consistently thin single, so it's going to be a fairly consistently thin double. Why did I say that? I said that and it screwed me up. Alright, fine. Let's figure out what's going on. And by figure out what's going on, I mean, okay, we tore the single. Let's see if we can find our way. No, come back here. Find our way back to where it was like strong enough to restart from. Are you strong enough to restart from? I think so. Okay, great. Does feel like I need more twist then. If it's splitting up that easily, I've got to add more twist. Like, not a lot more twist, but at least a little bit more twist. Alright, on we go. There we go. One of the things I learned is that, like, when that happens and you end up with, like, several chunks of mostly your spun single, like, pulled out, you can't just respin it back in there because it will not work. So I usually just have it, like here it is, going alongside being pulled out, what's being pulled out from my kind of actual spinning, so that it gets incorporated back. Like, we don't throw it in the trash or anything, but it gets kind of get incorporated alongside the grippy fiber that's just coming out of the rologs. And of course, like, I'm still learning, right? I picked up this wheel last November, so I've had it for a year. And I've had my Kiwi for like maybe a decade before that, but I used it fairly sparingly, right? Like, I didn't do a lot of spinning. But with the eel, like, I've been spinning not every day, but like certainly every week for the past year. So I've gotten a bunch of practice, but not like, decades of practice like some folks have. So still a little bit of a learning experience all around. And while pulling a consistently thicknessed single, wow, I can words, is something that I've mostly figured out by now. Like, exactly how much spin to put on things is still sometimes a try in the dark kind of deal. So, working on that skill set. Well, and of course, we've got a bunch of cross stitch to do. Like, I'm working out a pattern to put into my Etsy shop for cross stitch, but I gotta finish test stitching it before I can, like I'm finding random miscounts in the pattern and stuff like that. And also, of course, I want like a photo of what it looks like when it's done. So I gotta finish it, and it's maybe half done. So it's got like a decorative border and all that, but the words inside is are uh, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. And I've got like don't matter and the start of the like I've got about halfway up the line for the um, those who mind, right? Because the top scheme is those who mind, and the second line is don't matter, an and in the middle, and then the next line is those who matter. Next line is don't mind. So maybe like a third done. So I just need to work on it. Maybe I will do that after I'm done with all my errands tonight. Like put on something to watch. Like I have. This is my problem, right? I was watching The Crown before the pandemic, and then I, at some point in the middle of the pandemic, like managed to actually go and watch. I think it's season 4. But I've like just stalled out on it, so I need to finish watching what's already there. And then the same thing is at some point when it came out, I watched like all but the last 2 episodes of the first season of the Netflix Avatar, The Last Airbender. So I just need to watch. I just need to watch those 2 episodes that I haven't watched, and some sort of weird mental block ever since the pandemic about like watching new things. Just like I was watching, this is, wherever, I was watching Vanderpump Rules, which is complete trash TV on Bravo, but I love it. So I was watching it again before the pandemic, and then I just didn't pick up the seasons after the pandemic. Oh my god. So I have, seasons and seasons of it to catch up on. And it's not like I don't have a billion gazillion miles of crafting to do, but I found that I've been doing a lot of watching of streams, which means I cannot watch TV while I do it, or streaming, which means I can't watch TV while I do it. Although I did learn that I can put it on and just not have that sound pipe into the stream, and like have some other sound go into the stream that is not playing out for me, so that you folks would get like nice pleasant background music while I get Vanderpump Rules, which I obviously can't broadcast, but have to figure out how to do that. I mean, people were not saying it for watching TV. People were saying it for like, listen to whatever music you want on your stream, and then put whatever else in the VOD. But and my VODs only hang out for like a month or 2 on Twitch, but I do export them all to YouTube, so I can't put copyrighted stuff there, obviously, which is why we have the background music that we have. It's like Chill Streams Autumn Mix, I think is what this is. That is just kind of going in the background there, and it's it's reasonably cool. To press buttons again. I think it's time to press the buttons again. because I've been trying to make Mix It Up work and do my timer buttons, but I have it working such that I can use the commands that I made in it, but I haven't figured out how to make the timers work in it, so. Also, the other thing that's kind of interesting to me, and I don't know how to really figure out, is so this was 60% Polworth, 20% yak, 20% silk. And then I added some silk. How do I know how much silk I added? Like, I know that I added, well, I mean, so for 4 ounces of fiber, I added 1 ounce of silk. So I suppose I could figure that out, because out of 4 ounces, we had, like, what's 20% of 4? Like 0.2 times 4, so 0.4, 0.6, so it was 0.8 of an ounce was already there, so I more than doubled the silk, but I'm sure I could work out this math problem, and mostly I hate it because math was a subject that I was good at, but I didn't like, so I didn't retain a lot of it either. I certainly don't think I can do it with that piece of paper, but I think the way I would do it is I would figure out what percentage of ounces, right, is 60, 20, 20 is out of the 4 ounces, and then I would increase the quantity of the silk in that equation, and of course the total quantity, right? Oh, and also, like, I didn't put in an entire ounce, right? I put in half. I keep thinking that. Right, to 4, put 4.5, and, you know, more silk, and then work out the percentages again, right, out of 100. Because my 100 is going to be no longer 4 ounces, it's going to be 4.5 ounces. So I foresee a lot of cross-multiply and divide in my future, which is the only way I know how to make percentages, like, happen. As I write out weird fractions and then cross-multiply and divide. But, you know, like, 4 is to 100 as 1 is to x, right? So I'm going to take 1, multiply it by 100, and divide it by 4. And what do you know? 1 ounce is 25% of 4 ounces. It's like math works. Not to be confused with the company Math Works. But yeah, so we'll need to do that math before I can, like, label this yarn once it becomes yarn from fiber. And realistically, I need to weigh the leftover purple, because if you recall, when we did our weighing of these guys, we had not 2 and 2, or like with rologs, we did not have like 2.25 and 2.25. We had like 2.4 in one side and 2.7 in the other, right? Which means that it's actually 4 point, like, I don't know. It's not actually 4 ounces, right? So, and to be fair, what this says is approximately 4 ounces, 113 grams. So it's entirely possible that there's just a bit more of the, yeah, and this is approximately 1 ounce or 26 grams of silk. But like, it's entirely possible that both had a little bit more in them than it says on the label. Which, like, I'm never going to complain about. A little bit more fiber? Hell yes. Alright, Alright, so we are going to have an ad break in about 10 minutes. And as before, I'll leave the music on, but I will put us on the BRB screen while capitalism happens, so that we can all get up, stretch, get a drink, get a food, use the bathroom. I'm gonna eat a little bit more of the snack that I brought up from my kitchen, and we're making good progress on this rolog. We're like halfway done with it. But yeah, it'll all work. I am sure of it. Do not lose that thread. Silk is pretty slippery, like it's making this slipperier certainly, but it's not as bad as bamboo. I do not like spinning bamboo, really, like, at all. It's fine, but it's very slippery in a way that I don't enjoy, right? Like, there's an amount of slip that's great because it makes this part slip out easily, and that's nice. But there is also the kind of slip that just makes everything break all the time. And bamboo is more that other kind of slip, the make everything break all the time kind. And I am not a fan. But that's okay. Someday I would love to spin silk straight off the cocoon balls, but the only time I've seen people do that, they were using the supported Turkish drop spindle. I don't know whether it actually would withstand like a wheel. Like, obviously the silk that I have here is like treated with stuff and like organized into a roving kind of thing, and even still, like, I'm not sure I could spin that. It is slippery AF. So what's the other part of why it's blended into this, right? Like, the wool is what has the grippy. I don't think silk has very much of the grippy of the like little hairs that sheep's wool has. Like, I'm sure it's got some. It's an animal fiber, but still. The other thing is I've got a big bag. I've got like a pound of undyed, and I don't know if I want to spin it and dye it, or dye it and spin it. I think probably I want to spin it and then dye it, because I feel like it might felt if I dye it first. But spinning undyed raw fiber is probably boring as fuck. But on the other hand, it's just like a pound of merino. So I might want to see about spinning things into it, or blending things into it. I picked it up because I picked up like various fun colors of bamboo. This is before I've spun anything with bamboo. But I was like, okay, I'm not going to spin straight up bamboo. That's going to be kind of terrible. I will pick up some no color merino and it will just like dilute the bamboo a little bit. Now I'm wondering whether, you know, a little bit of bamboo in the merino as opposed to a little bit of merino in the bamboo would be okay for the slip factor and might make the merino a little bit more like interesting and fun. It would mean there's already color in there, but if it's a little bit, then when I dye the merino, it'll just over dye it and be fine. And you know, like it's just a Dharma color, so I think I have some blue somewhere. And then I have, you know, obviously the ability to pick up more Dharma fibers. Okay, come on, rolog. Stop being a butt. He is being a butt. Alright, warning, 3 minutes to capitalism. But again, we're making good progress here. I am happy with it. You know, as always, I have been meaning to like rotate my desk and reset up my streaming station, and haven't gotten around to it. And it's times like this that I miss like the idiomatic English, right? There's a saying in Russian that is perfect for this. It does not directly translate very usefully to English, but it's like the phrase is "ruki не дошли," which just means like the hands haven't walked to it yet. Like it's specifically like gotten to, as in I went on a walk and I got to the store, right? So it's like my hands just have not finished walking to it yet. And like it's exactly what I mean, right? It's what you say when it's like I need to do it. It's on my list of things to do. I know how to do it and what to do about it, but like I just have not very specifically gotten around to the actual doing part, right? Because just saying I haven't gotten around to it can mean I haven't thought about it, I haven't figured out how to do it, I haven't like all other kinds of stuff. But this just means no, I got all of that part done. It's the actual, like, the stuff I do with my hands, the actual doing, that is just not there yet. Haven't gotten around to that part. And so that implication is kind of carried with the phrasing. So, again, it's times like this that I miss having the idiomatic English, because I feel like there's probably a way to do that in English that I just don't know. Because, in case people didn't know, this is not my native language. This is not the language I grew up speaking. It's the language I started speaking, like, for real, not in class, when I was 11. And, you know, it's been a few years since then. I've picked it up reasonably well, right? Like, I certainly am quite fluent in it, but I don't speak it natively, and I never will on account of it not being my native language. So, alright, capitalism is happening in about 20 seconds, so we're gonna take that break, get up, stretch, drink a fluid that is not just caffeine or adult beverage, and use the bathroom, eat a food, and we will see you in approximately 3 minutes. Let's BRB. Hello, welcome back. I hope everybody had a good capitalism and a good break. I stuffed food in my face. And also use the time to figure out which is of the pile of books I have on my bed, which one is the next in the series. I am making my way through Maggie Sefton's Kelly Flynn mysteries, which are all mysteries focused on around like a yarn store. So knitting, crocheting, weaving, spinning features not so much prominently, but sort of as a backdrop for the mysteries. In the first book, Kelly, who is an accountant in the DC area, goes to a town in Colorado where her aunt died, and like she has to deal with the estate. She's the only living relative. And she, in the course of figuring it out, she decides that what the police called a robbery gone wrong feels like weird. And her aunt's cottage, like, the property used to be a lot bigger. They used to have a sheep farm, but they sold off some of the property, and there is now a yarn store, like, across the street from her on the what used to be the same property. So she starts like living in her aunt's cottage as she tries to like wrap up the affairs and solve what she decides is her aunt's murder. And one of the things that happened was when her aunt died, it appeared that like the day before she went and did like a terrible predatory refinance of her house, and this terrible loan that she like can't get out of or pay off or whatever in for 2 years. So because she's stuck with this loan now, Kelly can't sell, right? The house can't be sold. Kelly like arranges with her boss to be able to work remotely from Colorado. So she kind of starts living in her aunt's cottage, and there's a big plot point that she never previously learned to knit, but all the folks at the store convinced her. The person who teaches all the spinning and does all the spinning at the store is this dude named Bert, who had a heart attack, and his children convinced him that he needs to retire from the local police force. So this is his retirement. He like spins yarn and hangs out in the fiber store. We find out later that he like falls in love with the owner of the store, because they both like been married and widowed or divorced or whatever. I think widowed, both of them. And they're now in like I guess their 50s or something, and it's time for them to find love. So they do. But being a retired policeman, he's like a great assistant for Kelly because she can get information from like his friends on the force, and she can feed them back information like, hey, I did some digging and I found this out and blah blah blah. Anyway, so she solves her aunt's murder, and like in the next book it's like some months later and she's just living there, and like she goes to visit an alpaca rancher and finds her dead on her living room floor, and like that needs to get solved. And so she has what I call the Jessica Fletcher problem, the murder she wrote, right? Like clearly Jessica Fletcher is the one killing everybody because she moved to this town and suddenly there are all these murders that she wrote about. Kelly keeps finding dead bodies or being like somehow associated with people who either did the killing or are accused of doing the killing or who are the victim, and it's like all kinds of terrible. And I'm just waiting for the police to start getting suspicious about Kelly because she's just always there for all of these bad things happening. and but it hasn't happened yet. Like, I think I'm on book 9, maybe 5, 6. I don't know. There are 16 of them total. The last one came out in 2019, so I don't know if the author is planning on having more come out. I know that she's got like a different series with like another lady detective as well, that she has. So she maybe is like just she's written all the things that needed to be written about Kelly Flynn, but I very recently discovered them, so I am going through them about as fast as the library, like interlibrary loan, can get them to me, because I don't want to own them. It's like a lot of money. I bought the first one, and then I bought the most recent one that I read because like it was taking too long to get it from the library, and I had all the subsequent ones. So I'm gonna see if the library wants a donation. So like when I go tomorrow morning to pick them up, I just need to ask them if they take donations or if they don't bother, because none of these books exist in like my specific local library. They've all been interlibrary loaned. So and I know that I could like have gotten them all on Libby and read them electronically, but I don't want to read books on my phone. Like, I don't actually have a Kindle. I tend to not read ebooks. I either get paper books, or more recently, like more the case, I've been getting them on Audible. But I don't know if these exist on Audible, and I'm perfectly fine just getting the paperbacks out of the library, although sometimes they're hardcovers. So like right now the next 3 are all paperbacks, but I've got a couple of more waiting for me to pick them up, and I don't know if they're paperbacks or hardcovers, because they don't, like, the interlibrary loan thing doesn't tell me the format of the book. They tell me when it's large print. They tell me when it's like a mass market paperback, like the bigger, like weird, I guess cheap printed ones. But they don't tell me when it's like a normal paperback or a hardcover. So it's a surprise. I gotta say, like, I read them, they are absolutely cotton candy fluff nonsense, and they were New York Times bestsellers, and they were printed, and I read them and I'm like, why am I not writing this? Why am I not writing these mystery novels? They are like I can write at least this good, because they're not like great literature or anything. And they're not like great mysteries either. Like, I generally, like, there's always a twist, and I don't always know what the twist is, but I generally can like be at least 2 or 3 steps ahead of the plot line. Like, it doesn't just catch me completely by surprise. Which, like, in a good mystery, you get caught completely by surprise. Or like, if you think of like the Sherlock Holmes stuff, for example, it's not that you get caught by surprise, is that like, I don't always know what Holmes's like logical deductive path is gonna be, and I don't always have his like wide esoteric knowledge of all sorts of things. Sometimes I do, right? Like, I always think of the story of the dancing men, where there was like little dancing men drawn on the wall, and nobody knew what it was. And I was like, okay, this is clearly a cipher. This is probably just a plain ass substitution. And as soon as they put the cipher in the book, I was like, okay, this is in English, which means that I know that the most common one is E. So I need to find all the 3-letter words that end in that most common thing, and those are either the or are. And, you know, like if I find a bunch of the first 2 of letters of those 3-letter words in combination together all the time, then it's the. Because TH is a much more common combination than AR, right? And now I've got 3 letters and I can just stick them in, and now I can just start figuring out other words and just deducing other letters and see what makes sense, right? Like you can do a straight up substitution cipher, like you can figure it out fairly easily that way. But like, so that I figured out, like, before, you know, Holmes told Watson that's what it was, and that E is the most common letter in the English alphabet, and blah, blah, blah. To be fair, I think this was the second time I was reading this story, because the first time I was reading this story, it was in Russian, so it was translated. So it showed me the pictures of dancing men, and it showed me that Holmes said, well, E is the most common letter in the English alphabet, but like I'm reading it not in English, right? And I don't, like, I was, I don't know, 10 or something, and I spoke English. I took it in school from 2nd grade on, but that means that at 10 I had it, like I had 2.5 years of school English. And this was like intensive English and Russian school, which means that I had it 6 times a week, every day. We had English every day. And yes, we went to school 6 days a week. They changed that since I left Russia. I used to be really angry because my parents would tell me that, like, school is my work. And I'm like, that's fine, but why do I have to work on Saturdays and you don't? Answer, so that parents would have some time to get errands done. Kept the children out of the way for an extra day. I'm assuming. But also, like, you know, we didn't go all day. We ended at midday. Okay. Next rolog time. Hey, I was wondering if we would finish it. So that's 3 rologs done. Now, granted, it is 2:38, so we probably have... We've been going for 1 hour and 48 minutes, so we probably got about another 10 minutes in here before I must run away and we find somebody to raid out to. I don't know if anybody else in Creative Club is streaming, but we will find them if they are, so that we can raid them. Let's see, who is on right now? Yarny Pixie is on. Rainy Janie is doing co-working stream. 9.5 is on, but they are playing Fortnite. Supreme Doom is doing something in making and crafting. I don't remember what I know of Supreme Doom and who they are, but just gonna go check those folks out for when it's time to do stuff. So Supreme Doom is doing the Crafty Collective Twitch takeover, not just gamers. That's cool. I don't know what they are actually doing. It looks like some sort of paper crafting, which is super awesome looking. And then what is Pixie doing? Pixie is Craft Math is the devil. So she's doing like crochet stuff. which is cool. Meanwhile, we should say what fiber we're working with again. Okay. And yeah, I don't think we'll finish this 4th rolog, but we'll make a dent in it. And if I somehow manage to wake up extra early tomorrow, such that I am all ready to go and packed and, you know, can't go to the library until they open at 11, so maybe I'll stream in the morning. But let me just say how much I am not a morning person. So very, very, very much not a morning person. Do not tear, please, thank you. The bobbin is filling up fairly nicely. I think it's filling up fairly nicely, so. But yeah, I want to raid out to somebody else in the creator club, in the sort of maker club function there. So just kind of want to support that group and also just meet new people and expand my number of peeps I know in the streamy world. And all the other folks are much more much more established streamers with more established audiences. So one of the things I'm doing is attempting to learn how they do their thing as much as possible. you believe I used to only stream games? For a while there, I only streamed like group games with friends, like Don't Starve Together. And then I switched to streaming basically just Sims, and then just Animal Crossing, and then more Sims and wildflowers and that kind of stuff. Haven't been streaming any of my like Satisfactory or Planet Crafter stuff, but could, I guess. But then I was streaming a bunch of actual play. Started with Vampire Masquerade, and I met Hedgie Cleric through that. And she was restarting her stream, and her stream was all like crochet and knitting. And so followed her, and at some point she raided Sleeping Luna Design, and I was like, ah yes, I found my people. Because from Luna's raids I found Pickstitch, and that's how I found the info on the Creator Club, and like basically was watching Luna spin on stream and realized, hey, I don't have to spin only when I'm watching people stream. I could also stream this. So for a while there, I was doing like spinning and Iliad, reading the Iliad, and I will get back to that because I do want to actually like get through the Iliad. But like not today. Today was not like my voice was not gonna take reading straight up for 2 hours, which is not to say that I haven't been like talking for 2 hours, but it's a little different. Because let me tell you, the Iliad is full of mostly Greek names that I have a hard time pronouncing. So that is a thing, but we'll get back to it. It was just the first thing I thought of that was in the public domain and thus, readable easily. I don't necessarily know, like, what else would be good to read. Maybe we'll read Frankenstein. That's gotta be in the public domain these days, right? Maybe we'll read War and Peace. It's been forever since I read War and Peace. Not exactly like cozy reading, but to be fair, neither is the Iliad. Yeah, I don't know. You just gotta go and like look up stuff on Project Gutenberg, right? Because that's where all the copyright-free stuff is for like literature and things. So, alright, so we've been on for 2 hours and I gotta go run errands, so we are going to wrap it up. I am very bad at like actually wrapping it up, as you can see, but let's see over here. All right. Yeah. Go into the grooves so that you can be anchored. Thank you. Thread. And turn off that. So yeah, this is not bad. This is like a pretty good chunk of work done in 2 hours there. Alright, so let's see. So who did we decide we are gonna go visit? Is Supreme Doom still there? Or did Supreme Doom go and raid Yarny Pixie? Or did Yarny Pixie go and raid Supreme Doom? I think that's what happened. That's mildly hilarious. Okay. Yeah. So we are gonna go and attempt to raid Supreme Doom. I need this one, and then this one, and then we are... Wow, I am getting a lot of like suggestions for raids to people doing Legos and pottery and 3D printing on stream, which is cool, but not what we are doing. So pardon me as I attempt to... There we go. Supreme Doom 56. So we're going to do that. I am going to go and stop my music just so that it is, you know, feasible. All right. I will see folks later, and we're going to go and do our raid.